Right now, my investment portfolio is mainly in stocks. I know that there are a lot of other choices out there. There are choices that people like our parents will be more familiar with. So things like bonds, fixed deposits, gold, real estate. I know the last two things, my parents at least, or I know a lot of people's parents really like those kind of investments. And then there are also newer investments or relatively newer investments like crypto. I've tried investing into all of them, but I seem to always come back to stocks as my main or my preferred kind of investment. So in today's video, I'll go through why I think stocks are the best investments out there. So how I'm going to do this is that I'm going to go through what I personally look for in investments. I know that this will differ from person to person. It really depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on just your personal preference of what you want to invest your money in. But for me, there are a few criteria that I'm looking for. So I'll go through these criteria and I'll just compare how stocks perform in these criteria compared to other assets. The first criteria that I'll be talking about is the returns. This is of course the main reason why everyone invests their money. We want our money to grow. That's the whole reason we invest, right? Otherwise, we would just leave it into a bank account. And to me, stocks, its returns is high enough. So if we look at the S&P 500 over the last 10 years, it has returned on average 13% per year, whereas the Nasdaq 100 has returned over 18% per year over the last 10 years. These are crazy numbers. I know that this probably won't last. We won't get, like 18% every single year for the rest of our lives. But let's say if we can get 15% per year for the rest of our lives, if we invest just 1,000 ringgit a month, in 30 years' time, we will end with 5.2 million ringgit. That's how high those returns are. But like I said, this is pretty unlikely. US stocks has just been on a pretty major bull run over the last 15 years or so. I would say a more realistic number in terms of annual returns is somewhere around 7 to 8%. Things like bonds and money market funds, their returns will just never be that high. It has a place in my portfolio, but if you're talking about these kind of investments, the maximum that we'll be looking at every single year in terms of returns is, I would say, maybe 3 to 4%, which is good. Like I said, I do put some of my money into money market funds. But I'm someone who is young. I have a long way to go until retirement. So I do want to take on a bit more risk so that I can get that higher potential returns. The only two assets that I would say have higher potential returns in stocks is crypto and real estate. But those two things, they have their own issues, which I'll talk more about later on. But specifically for crypto, the risk is just so high. So the risk-adjusted return for crypto is far worse than stocks, which means that the volatility is crazy. Even though it goes up very high, it can dump very low as well. So I'm not so comfortable putting a large chunk of my net worth into crypto. On the other hand, real estate investors, they only get those crazy returns because they're very leveraged, which basically means they're borrowing money to invest into something. So this makes sense, right? Whenever we buy a house, we don't give the entire amount. We don't pay the entire amount in cash. We just pay a small deposit or an upfront payment, and then we pay the rest monthly, which basically means we are leveraged in this investment. So yeah, if you get things right, if your timing is perfect, everything goes well, then yeah, you can get really good returns. You can double your money in a short amount of time. But the same is also true on the opposite side. If things go wrong, you can lose a lot of money. The next thing that I look for in an investment is how liquid it is, which is basically how easy it is to enter or exit a position. So with stocks, it's of course extremely liquid because it's open every single weekday and there are a lot of buyers and sellers out there. So even in massive panic situations like 2020, when we had lockdowns and stuff like that, yes, prices were dropping, but you could exit your positions if you wanted to without losing too much money in slippage because there are a lot of buyers out there. Even though stock markets are crashing 10% a day, there will still be someone out there who wants to buy your stocks. In this sense, I would say bonds and money market funds, they're also equally as liquid. You can enter and exit your positions very easily. So yeah, it does tick off this box. And then for crypto, arguably it's even more liquid just because markets are open 24/7, where stocks are closed on weekends. But having said that, if you invest or trade in meme coins, then I would say that it might not be so liquid. So if you have a big position and there are not a lot of participation in that meme coin, then it can be quite difficult for you to exit a position. So let's say if price dumps by 20%, suddenly there's a lot of FUD, everyone's dumping their meme coin. If you have a large position and there's not enough buyers to support you, if you try and sell that onto the market, it will cause a huge drop, which means that you can lose a lot more money. And on a worst case scenario, maybe no one even wants to buy your meme coin. So yeah, it can be extremely liquid if you're talking about Bitcoin, but if you're talking about meme coins, then yeah, maybe not so liquid. Investments with the lowest liquidity out there to me is things like gold and real estate. So I know some people like to buy things like gold bracelets, necklaces, earrings, I guess, stuff like that, because it seems cool, right? You're investing into something, it's tangible, you have it in your hand, and you know that it's valuable. But if, let's say, you need the money desperately and you want to go sell that gold bar, it will be a hassle. You have to go to some physical store or something like that, I guess, get it checked before you can actually sell and receive your money. And with real estate, this to me is the most illiquid investment. So in major market crashes like the global financial crisis in 2008, there are basically no buyers out there. Which means that, if you have a property that you invested in and you need to sell because you need the cash, you'll have to give major discounts. You have to keep dropping your price until someone agrees to buy it. So, for example, if you had a $10 million position in Apple, even if the price is falling 5% today, right? You want to sell $10 million worth of Apple, no problem, there will be buyers out there. But in a market panic for real estate, the same cannot be said. You basically only have two options. One is to take a big loss because you reduce your price so much, or the other option is to just hold through this market panic. Hopefully the prices will go back up over the next few years. This to me are not good options. I need my investments to be liquid. Next up, another thing that I look for in an investment is the barrier to entry. So I'm not an extremely rich guy, so I need an investment that, an average person like me can invest my money in easily. This, again, will have to rule out real estate because, to invest in property, you will need at least a certain level of credit score and you need, of course, a lot of money to invest into it. For stocks, the barriers to entry are extremely low, and these days, I would say basically everyone in the world, I guess, can invest into it pretty easily. We can all open stock brokerage accounts online, completely online. We don't have to go anywhere physically, and fees have gotten very, very low. They've even launched fractional shares, which means that if you don't have enough money to buy a full share, we can buy, a portion of a share. So let's say right now, Apple is trading over $200 per share. If you didn't have $200 to invest into it, you can buy even 0.01 shares of Apple for just $2. So yeah, we can start at a very, very low amount. Other investments out there, I guess crypto, bonds to an extent, money market funds these days with all the apps out there, I guess they do have low barriers to entry as well. Anyone can invest into it. The amounts are pretty low. The only one that I would say doesn't meet this criteria to me is real estate because yeah, you need a lot of money to invest into property. By the way, if any of you guys want a broker for you to invest into stocks, ETFs from Malaysia or the US or even Hong Kong if you wanted to, then check out Mumu. You can invest into fractional shares and the fees are extremely low as well. I'll leave the link to sign up down below. You can use it to sign up so you can get some nice freebies when you deposit your money and start investing. Moving on, the next criteria that I have for my investments is for it to be easy and simple to understand and invest in. Again, to me, stocks match this criteria. These are real life companies that we're investing in, We know that Apple is a huge company. We know that they're valued really highly because a lot of people buy iPhones, AirPods, watches, stuff like that. And we know that, we know why Maybank is such a huge company because so many Malaysians use Maybank. So yeah, it's very easy for us to relate to our investments and understand why it's doing well. Add this to the fact that there are so many ETFs out there, which is what I mainly invest in. Things are just a lot easier right now. This is just my personal opinion. I don't find investing in anything else as easy. So things like crypto, real estate, gold, I don't think it's as easy and simple to understand as investing in stocks. For crypto, I would say you need a very deep understanding and belief that the global financial system can change. I am pretty sure that the majority of people who invest into Bitcoin, they don't actually know what they're investing in. They're just investing their money and hoping that price goes up, which again, there's nothing wrong with it. I also invest my money into Bitcoin, but like I said, it's not so easy to understand what it is and what would make the price go up. For real estate, of course, it's not easy. This is probably the hardest one as well. You'll need to understand things like whether it's in a hot location, you need to understand rental demand, stuff like that. So there are a lot of other considerations before you invest into property. And then for gold, it's not something that is used widely. The price of gold doesn't really depend on industrial demand or production demand or anything like that. So people say that gold is an inflation hedge, but in recent times in 2022, when inflation was really high, gold prices went down. So is it really an inflation hedge? Again, it's not very clear what makes the price of gold go up or down. I also wanted to add on that one of the major reasons people invest into things like Bitcoin and gold is because they say, the fiat system or the US dollar, one day it will die down because, there's money printing out there. That's true, and maybe it will. Who knows? I don't even know. But the good thing about investing into stocks is that we're investing into companies, not a currency. Whether they sell their iPhones in US dollar, Malaysian ringgit, or Bitcoin, it really doesn't matter. Apple is still Apple. People will still buy iPhones. And this to me is why I think that it's so easy to understand when we invest into stocks. Whereas with crypto, we got to think, is Bitcoin really going to take over the US dollar? We don't know. There's a lot of factors out there. With stocks, it's very simple. Finally, the last criteria that I have for a good investment is the ability to diversify. So I'm not the kind of guy who wants to go all into one single investment and hope that it goes to the moon and I make a lot of money. I have a very high risk tolerance, but not that high. With real estate, I guess you could diversify, but you need a lot of money to get to 2, 3, 4 properties, right? You need a lot of money to diversify with real estate. With crypto, I guess you could diversify, you could buy different coins and stuff like that. I would really love for crypto to have the equivalent of an ETF, where it's basically just a fund with multiple coins in it. I would love having that. Right now, unfortunately, I don't know any product out there that has, something like this. But the easiest investment to diversify, to me at least, is stocks. By just investing into one single ETF, you can get exposure to companies in the financial sector, healthcare, real estate, and even technology companies. And these companies, the good thing is they all do well in different times. So let's say when interest rates are going up, maybe your tech companies are doing bad, but financial companies will do well. So you can see that it's very easy for us to diversify into different areas depending on what we think the economy is going to do. Even if you don't want to invest into ETFs, even if you want to pick your own stocks, it's still very easy to diversify with stocks. So let's say if you wanted something like Nvidia, this is a company with high potential growth. The reward is extremely high, but the risk is also high. On the other hand, you have very stable companies listed on the exchanges as well. Names like Coca-Cola, who has very stable earnings, and they also pay a pretty nice dividend. So yeah, with even a huge amount of money, it's very easy for us to diversify when investing into stocks. The same cannot really be said for other investments. That is basically all the reasons why I mainly invest into stocks. I'm not saying that the others are bad. Like I said, I do invest into basically all of the names I'm talking about today. I invest into stocks, crypto, money market funds, real estate, no, not yet. But yeah, I am invested into many of these things. It's just that my preference is into stocks. So yeah, I do have a diversified portfolio. I give allocation to all these different assets, but stocks will always have the largest allocation, for now at least. I know that investing into stocks might not give me the best returns. Maybe sometimes crypto has higher returns. Maybe a real estate investor makes a lot of money. But to me, over the long run, stocks are good enough. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite investment? Thanks for watching this video to the end, guys. Give me a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.